You are listening to the Horse Radio Network, part of the Equine Network family.
What a beautiful day for horses in the morning.
You are listening to the #1 horse podcast in the world. Here's your entertaining look at the horse world and the people in it.
I'm Coach Jen from Ocala, Florida.
And I'm Karen Chatton from Gardnerville, Nevada, and you are listening to Horses in the Morning on the Horse Radio Network for March 12th, episode 3384. Good morning, Horse World.
When your start time's on Saturday and your finish time's on Sunday, and it doesn't get much better than best conditioned, and completing the challenge is the challenge, you're an endurance rider. Welcome back, Karen. For newbies out there, Karen stops by the second Tuesday of every month, and we get to sit down, chat about all things endurance. But if you're not an endurance rider, don't panic. We chat about lots of things that are just plain old fun, and lots of things that are actually really impactful for other types of riders. What have you been up to? This is the first part. This is the part of the show every month. We catch up on what Karen's been up to, because she always has great adventures of both type A and a type B fun. What was it last month? Type A or type B?
Yeah, a couple of rides have gotten either rescheduled or canceled, so I didn't get to do a couple that I had wanted to do. So I've been riding Jovi, conditioning him along with the two new youngsters that I've got, and they're coming along really well. I've been letting them learn to self-load themselves in the trailer, and I have, of course, there's always one. There always has to be one. He goes in, getting him in the trailer isn't the problem, but if you close the divider or close the doors and close him in, he panics. He has anxiety. He's the one, and of course, Glenn had a lot of fun laughing at me last month about, I was explaining the reason why he panics when he gets closed in is previously, before I got him, he had been closed in a trailer that had a hornet's nest in it that the owner didn't realize. Yeah. And so I've got to work through that issue with him, and the anxiety and the stress from when he gets closed in, he gets panicky. And so I've got that issue to deal with. So I've been working with that, getting him to go in on his own. He goes in, I've been feeding him his mashes and some hay in the trailer. The other one is just wonderful about the trailer loading, no problems, no anxiety when he gets closed in, none of that. But I've got to work with this my little gray.
He is little. Tell everybody how little he is.
He's 13 too. He's literally a pony, but he moves like a big a full-sized real horse. Not that he's not a real horse, but you know what I mean. But I love him. He's just so cute, and I like that he's little.
Well, you're not exactly the Jolly Green Giant.
No, definitely I'm not. And so
let me ask you for because it's Saint is the little guy that's struggling just a bit with the being closed spaces. So what is your first step? What does the current step look like helping him be less stressed in that enclosed space? He self-loads, and you just leave everything open while he's hanging out in there? So
I do. I've been leaving everything open, and I'm letting it be his choice, no pressure, and letting him. And he has improved a great deal from. And he was this way with even the barn stalls with eating. He still is. He'll come in, he'll grab a bite, and he backs out.
Yeah.
He comes in, grabs a bite. But on the other hand, he's kind of self-conditioning.
There we go.
So there you go. So he has improved to the point where he will go in the trailer and stay in the trailer while he eats for several minutes, which is an improvement. But I have not yet closed the divider or closed the back doors. In fact, I'm thinking I might actually take the divider out in the bumper pull because it can come out, and then just closing him in. So it's almost like an open stock trailer for him.
Slightly
it's a two-horse.
More open space. Yeah.
And then, but I haven't done that yet because the last time I did it, it gave us a big setback because he did panic.
It was too soon. It was too soon.
Yeah.
And
so, and I've watched so many videos of different trainers and different methods, and I've read all these books. You just have to go at the horse at his what's comfortable for him is what I'm trying to do.
Yes. Anytime a horse is in the panicked state,
right, you can't force it.
Science tells us that they're not learning a new skill or improving a skill. They might change their behavior because they've learned the chosen behavior is useless.
Right.
But he's not genuinely learning a new skill, which is what you're looking for. You're looking for him to learn that I can stand in a trailer and it's pleasant. I'm cool with that versus I can stand in a trailer because if I try to get out, it doesn't do me any good because I thought I would die. That's not the one you want. So that's really cool. It's going to be fun to keep up with how he progresses in little tiny increments over the next month.
I hope so. I mean, he's going to have to learn. And, it's really important, your horse needs to be able to get into a trailer in case you have to evacuate or there's an emergency. So I know I can get him in if I have to.
Right. But that's the first step, right? If, it doesn't matter how quiet they are once they're in there, if it takes you an hour and a half to get them in, right?
Right. Yeah. And I can get him in within about a minute or two. That's not the issue. It's once he's in, and now the other one, the 4-year-old, he's lovely because he doesn't have any baggage.
Yeah.
He's had.
Well, if I got stung by a whole nest full of hornets, can you imagine?
And they just keep stinging.
Yeah.
They're not like bees where they sting you once, and it hurts like heck if you've ever been stung by hornets.
Well, there are horses out there that one single fly biting them sends them into a frenzy. So I can't imagine a whole nest full of hornets. So
yeah, exactly.
So you also have some rides coming up. What's on the schedule?
I do. I have one coming up this weekend up in Reno, the Red Rock Rumble, and I'm going to, I think I'm going to be doing the 30 up there. And then the next one after that, I'll be doing the 50. I wanted to do the 50 originally. But then, like I said, a couple rides that I wanted to do got either canceled or rescheduled. And then we've had a lot of wind, we've had snow and weather. And I just don't feel that I really want to take Jovi on his first ride of the season on a 50 because this is a kind of a tough one. So the 30 will be a really good ride to get him ready and amped back up to do a 50 for the next one down the line. So how long a travel day will it be to go up to Reno for you? Oh, it's probably about 70 miles to ride camp. So an hour and a half.
Oh, that's not bad.
No, it's not bad at all. And I can ride Saturday and then come home and be home probably by about dark, maybe.
Yeah. What is the longest distance you've driven to get to a ride?
Gosh, I've a couple times when I did the long cross country XPs, we started in Missouri. And
so that's several states away.
That's several states away.
Did you do that all in one fell swoop, or did you do layovers to drive from Colorado to Missouri?
We would have probably one night, maybe 2 nights to get there. And I've been to New Mexico and a couple other states where it took, 2,000 miles at least. 2,300 miles. So
when you do these multi-day drives with your horses, what does your schedule look like? Because there's lots of different methods. Some people give them a lot of space and just drive straight through. Some people overnight. Some people stop and take them out for a couple hours, put them back in. How does that work for you?
It varies. It depends on, the horse and where they're at with their experience and how they handle travel and stuff. If they're good, with traveling and they eat and drink good while they're in the trailer, I would go 12 or 14 miles or 12 or 14 hours of hauling and then stop overnight and do that. Others, every 8 hours, I would, maybe drive 8 hours, stay overnight. It just depends on where your stops are that are, how it works out, where you have a nice, safe place to stop to stay overnight or whatever. Over the years, the horses all learn that the trailer is their home away from home. And I'm trying to train, like, even the new ones. I put them on the living quarters trailer with the high ties often, and let them learn while other horses come and go. I go, leave the property with another horse, that they're left. Or maybe the other horse gets left and they're going and coming back. But they get comfortable with that and they learn that trailer is their home away from home.
I think that is a really underutilized skill set. And I never did that before until Nigel came into my life, who really struggles with so many things that relate to travel. And when we got this new horse trailer, it was a slant load and a step up, neither of which he had any experience with. So I thought, this is an opportunity to start from scratch. So I did do that with him. I took him up there and we would just go up there and I'd put a pile of hay on the ground because he wouldn't eat out of a hay net even near the trailer because horse trailer represented panic time for him. Right. And we'd just stand there and eat really super yummy hay for 10 minutes. And then we went to hang the hay net up and he would hang out with Scooter while tied to the trailer. Little teeny tiny itty bitty steps like that. And I was really quite surprised and pleased at the difference that made. Now, I would do it maybe once or twice a week at the most, but each and every time I made sure I did it in a tiny increment and that I went and did something else. We went back to the barn or went for a ride or whatever, but long before he ever got tired of it and had the need to paw or worry. And I was really surprised that when it came to the time to start getting him in the trailer, how much more relaxed and how comfortable he was.
Yes.
Because for him, a new horse trailer, he was one of those guys that if it was not his familiar everyday trailer, it was just panic time. And it made a big difference. So if you have a horse that's new to your life, a horse that worries at shows when he's tied to the trailer and things like that, it might be a good thing to practice those things at home. And that makes 2 training tips we have for today, because now it's time for the endurance tip. Like I said, I warned everybody at the beginning of the show, our tips aren't just for endurance riders, but this one might be a little bit more for endurance riders. What do you think?
It is, because we have, like, a lot of our tack, it is made to literally last forever. The biothane, a lot of the other equipment and stuff that we use, it really does last and last and last.
It lasts way longer than the horse does. Yeah. 30 years, easy.
Exactly. My newer horses now are using tack that belonged to 1 or 2 generations of horses ago. And it's still in great shape, in good condition. And the way to keep it clean is I run it through the dishwasher. The dishwasher is your friend.
Now, wait a minute. When you put it, how do you load it in the dishwasher? Because putting it in the dishwasher, get this, Glenn has a cow when I put saddle pads in the washing machine. But putting his harness in the dishwasher is just fine. How do you load it in there without the straps getting tangled on things? I get a little panicky about that.
Right. Yeah. I use the top rack or like in my newer dishwasher that I have now, it has 3 racks actually. So it's the middle one, like where the bowls or glasses go. And you just lay it in there, and then you make sure that any snaps or clips can't fall through. So you lay them on top, over the top of, like, say if it's a breast collar or reins, you make sure that the ends of it are folded over the top so it can't fall down and, kind of cause a problem there with anything that spins around. And I don't need to use soap, because it's just the heat from the dishwasher and the water and stuff gets the biothane nice and clean, and it comes out. It looks just wonderful. I've even done my hoof boots. I know some people will probably gasp. You can do
hoof boots. I might be a little reluctant. Yeah.
See, I'm not.
Maybe 2 separate dishwashers. See, that's new. I have to talk to Helena over at Stall and Stable. Now your tack room in the perfectly outfitted barn, the tack room has to have a washer, a dryer, and now it has to have a dishwasher too.
It does. Exactly. And for those that are more germ phobic, you just run an additional rinse cycle, maybe put some soap or some vinegar in the dishwasher and rinse it out.
And you're good to go. Yeah.
And you're good to go. And I mean, you can do your bits and they come out nice and clean and like brand new. It's wonderful. I mean, I wouldn't put leather in there.
No, don't do that. Don't do that, everybody. Don't do that. Now, I'm guessing that you could put other synthetic tack in there. I'm not sure, because I know I've done biothane, because Glenn's Harness is biothane. But they also make tack out of other synthetic products, nylon, for example. I would love to hear from anybody who's tried that in their dishwasher, because I have not. And I know Nigel's has a neoprene girth, and it gets bad armpit odor. Whew, nasty. Right. But I just wash it by hand, but I've never put it in the dishwasher. And I would like to hear from somebody else who's done that first, because my dishwasher's really new and I don't want to risk it.
I know, but you'll get over it.
I'll get over it. Yeah, I'll get over it.
You see
we installed that sucker, and no, I don't want to have to reinstall a dishwasher ever again. Another question. Your tack is biothane from the Distance Depot, and we're going to be hearing from Karen shortly. Is all of your tack biothane? Because there's different types. It's a little bit like leather bridles come in black and dark brown and light brown and things. Biothane, the actual strapping material, has different finishes on it. The biothane that can be shiny, and the beta, which is more matte and looks a little bit like leather.
Yeah, there's different types of.
Is all of yours the same, or do you have different ones?
Different overlays. I have like rope reins that are made out of like a yacht rope type material. Stuff like that. When I wash like my mohair girths, I put them in a laundry bag, like that you would use to like put your bras or something in, and I put them on delicate cycle in the washing machine, and I run them through that way to get those clean. But a lot of the tack and stuff just does beautiful in the dishwasher. All different types of stuff. Yeah.
There we go. Well, on the topic of tack, we're going to give Kristen at the Distance Depot a holler and find out what's going on at the Distance Depot.
We have Kristen from the Distance Depot joining us, and today we're going to be talking about biothane tack, even more than we just covered how to clean it in the dishwasher. So welcome, Kristen.
Good morning.
Well, how are you doing today?
That's fine. How are you?
I'm good. And how are things going at the Distance Depot? Are you busy making all of that custom tack for everybody?
We absolutely are. And we have a couple of new colors, and we'll touch a little bit here at the end. Pardon me, I'm a little under the weather, so bear with my voice. We'll touch a little bit at the end about the finishes of the beta biothane. First of all, let's talk about, we have a new color called magenta pink. It's a really pretty raspberry pink color. The nice thing about this, and we tell you on our website, if you're not sure, because we have so many colors and you want to get this right, it's custom and made to your specifications. So ask for color samples, send us an email, give us a call, tell us what colors you want to see, and we'll pop some snippets in the mail to you so you can see them in person. That way you're sure of what you're getting. We have so many colors. A new thing that we also have is new beta grip. So that is for your rein. And so where your hands go, it's a pimply grip area that keeps your hands from slipping when your horse is wet and sweaty.
Ding, 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 ding. Beta grip for the win.
Yes.
Yeah, it's super. So we have had the brown and black in 3/4 inch, and that continues to be so. But now we've added new colors, and they come in 5/8 inch, which is just 1/8 of an inch thinner. So barely noticeable, but it is a little thinner for those that like a little lighter rein. And we have blue, red, teal, purple, pink, orange, yellow, and lime green. So lots of choices there.
Wait, stop there. You have beta grip in colors now?
Wow.
We do, yeah. And
I need more reins.
Exactly. We did for a little while, and they discontinued most of them and just went with black and brown. But the colors are back, and we're so excited about that because everyone.
Did you say red?
Colors. Red. Yeah.
Oh, I'm
Blue.
thinking my little gray. I want him to have red. I just haven't decided yet if I want red or red overlaid over the black.
Oh, right. I know. Well, that's a sharp combination too. And that's the thing we have. So I said we would talk about the finishes. So as far as the biathane goes, that is the older, shiny material that many are used to seeing harnesses made in. It sort of has a patent leather look. That was the original material, and they've come out with the beta. So we have 21 shiny, colors that you can use as an overlay. We typically stick to the shiny colors being used just as your overlay, so that the more comfortable, thicker, a little thicker, that matte finished beta biathane is the matte finish material, and they've made it nice and comfortable for the horse. So it's a little thicker. It is a little heavier, but much more comfortable. And it's matte finished. We have 27 matte finished beta colors that you can use as your main color. And then you can choose to put another matte finish color on top, or you can choose any one of the 21 shiny colors. We have 17 Southwestern designs, so kind of like a Navajo design, 12 reflect colors, and 7 camo colors. We have about 85 colors. So ask for color samples so that you can get that just as you need it. Wow. For sure. Yeah, I know. And we have measuring instructions if your horse is hard to fit or you're unsure, and do call us. We have probably one of the fastest turnarounds in the industry. So give us a call. Yeah. We don't let grass grow under our feet here. Tack is typically made in a day or two. So don't think, I'll call them in a couple of days after you place your order, because more than likely it's on its way.
Right.
So, yeah.
And how do people get in touch with you, Kristen?
Well, they can find us at www.thedistancedepot.com or call us toll free 866-863-2349.
Terrific. Thanks.
So is Saint going to give the little hackney pony who finished Tevis a run for his money for the smallest horse, or is he taller than he was?
I don't know. They might be about the same.
I'll have to check into that. Throw down.
Check into that.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's, and because he's low man on the totem pole or whatever, the other two pick on him and chase him, and so of course that's all conditioning. They're all getting conditioning. So I look at it.
So Saint does not have the Napoleon pony syndrome.
No, he doesn't. No, he gets
poor little Saint.
Poor little thing.
Poor
I know.
little thing.
And but in having that happen, I can see how athletic he is. He's very agile.
Yeah. Well, see, that improves his agility by being chased around.
It does.
Silver lining, people. Silver lining.
It improves his agility and his conditioning for all of us.
There we go. Well, speaking of improving agility and conditioning, we're going to get Debi Sanger, our first guest, on the line and chit-chat a little bit about how she is improving the rides around the area in the Southwest region, because she's got lots of them.
Our next guest coming up is Debi Sanger, who lives in the Southwest region, and she is a longtime endurance rider with around 7,500 miles, and she's a ride manager for a series of rides in the Southwest region in Arizona. Welcome, Debi.
Thank you so much for having me.
Sure. Well, I'm looking forward to learning more about the rides that you manage, and tell us about the Southwest region. It includes Arizona and New Mexico, and okay.
Nope, just Arizona and New Mexico.
Okay, all right. And
we're kind of a small region.
Mm-hmm. And your next ride I see coming up is called Old Pueblo, March 22nd and 23rd. Let's start off with that ride. Tell us about that one.
Old Pueblo is a really old ride. When I started in endurance riding in 1995, Marilyn McCoy put on this ride. So it's at least 30 years old. I'm not sure how much before that it was used. It's been in different locations during its history. Right now, Old Pueblo is being held at Empire Ranch, which is a working cattle ranch, but it's also under a land conservatory, so they can't develop it. It's run by BLM, and it's a marvelous ride. It's a nice introductory ride. We get to ride up over the Arizona Trail. We get to ride on ranch land that has been a sound stage or a movie stage for many movies and TV shows. So it's really got a kind of unique history, and it's surrounded by the wineries down in Sonoyta and Elgin, and it's just a very beautiful, beautiful area.
Neat.
Yeah, some of our loops are even named John Wayne Loop, Jimmy Stewart Loop, Gunsmoke, Oklahoma was filmed there.
Uh-huh.
You know, we have a Miss Kitty Loop. And, you know, we just try to embrace some of the history of the area.
That's neat. And what distances do you have?
Oh, we have a little bit of everything. We have an intro ride, a 25, a 30, a twilight 25, which is one that's held. You can do the first loop during the day and the second loop at night, so you can get used to riding at night. 75 and 100 this year.
Oh boy! Wow.
So we're going to be real busy on Saturday.
Okay, tell us what's the camp like and what are the trails like?
There's some roads, 2-track. We have single track. The Arizona Trail is a trail that goes from like the Mexican border up to the state line north. And it goes through part of the national forest down here, the Coronado National Forest. And the trails, some of them are sandy, some are road. You know, it's your mixture of trails, which is really kind of nice. You're not all stuck on roads. You're not stuck on 2-track. You're not stuck on single track the entire ride. You get a little bit of mixture of both.
Mm-hmm.
Elevation-wise, it's not really bad. Saturday's probably the most when we go up over the Arizona Trail, because you're actually going into the mountains at that point. And it's just, you know, it's a nice, easy ride. It's a great first-time ride.
Okay. And what's the base camp? Do you have any amenities or?
We have the BLM actually has a bathroom there. It's a big open field. It's called the Airport Strip. So we can get many rigs in there and people aren't going to be crowded in. and nobody else can park in that area because we have leased it for the weekend.
Oh, okay. That's nice.
Yeah,
That's nice.
it's really nice. Now, there's a lot of ATVers, but they're very respectful to the horses and stuff, and we haven't had any major issues, which is nice.
Oh, good. Okay, and I see you also manage the Jingle Bell Trot and Cinder's Trot. So
That's correct.
Let's talk about the Jingle Bell Trot. Where is it, and when is it, and what are the trails like and the camp at that ride?
Okay, Jingle Bell Trot is held on the western side of Phoenix at Australia Regional Mountain Park. Maricopa County here has a great park system, and we actually use all the trails in this park. It's right next to the Phoenix Raceway, which holds a lot of NASCAR, or NASCAR, not NASCAR. NASCAR. Hey, it's trails. They hold a lot of events there. And we have a great big parking lot, basically, that it's a trailhead. And we can fit up to 100 rigs in there. And all the it's probably my rockiest trail because we are in the Australia mountains there. Very nice. We hold it it's usually the first ride of the season because it's always the first weekend of December. So we always get a good start for our ride season. And all vet checks on my rides are held in camp. So there's no out vet checks. And it's just a really nice trail. And we're kind of unusual on Jingle Bell Trot. We actually offer an elevator ride from the LD, which is a 35-miler on Saturday. And if they want to, they can continue on to a 50. And we've had a few people take advantage of it.
Oh, good.
And then Cinder's Trot is up just east of Flagstaff. So, we kind of have rides in 3 different sections of the state of Arizona. Elevation between 5,000 and 6,000 feet. And it's called Cinder's Trot because the volcanoes were very active there when they were going. And instead of sand, they're cinders, which are really, really pebbleized rocks. And they're so tiny, but you can always get off the trail. So it kind of acts like sand, but the trails are wide enough you can get out of any of the deep stuff. That's a fairly easy ride. Elevation climb is a little bit more than the other rides, and it is that elevation. So it's a great primer for Tevis if you're planning to do Tevis, because it's, towards the 3rd week of May.
Okay.
So a lot of people are trying to peak up at that time. And, and we're also offering 100 there this year. We're hoping to put in for the national championship ride at Cinders in 2026.
Oh, good.
So it would be kind of nice because they can't recall if Southwest has ever hosted the national championship ride. So we're going to try to get it.
Oh, good.
See what the committee says.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, you got to go through the process and see who all the rides are that are volunteering to do that monumental task. It's a lot of work.
And one of the requirements is that you put on 100. This will be our first 100 there this year. I've had my own experience of doing quite a few hundreds, and with Old Pueblo under the belt, we're hoping that just 100 will give us the okay to do it. But you never know.
Right. And what's the trail like as far as like the scenery and stuff?
Oh, it's beautiful. You're up in the mountains. There's pine trees, completely different than like Jingle Bell Trot, which is held down kind of mountain deserts, and versus Old Pueblo, which is, kind of like, I equate it to like the savannas in Africa. You have tall grass and, cottonwoods and those type of trees versus the pine trees up in Flagstaff. So it's very beautiful. You're going up into the hills, and you can see forever, and you can see other volcano craters and stuff. It's really kind of unique up there. It's very pretty.
And so how did you end up in Arizona?
There's that 4-letter word that begins with S and ends in W. And I just, my mom lives down here. She's getting up in years. And so I moved down here about 7 years ago, and just have found the endurance community just very, very active. There's only 2 months a year we do not have rides down here. And that's June and July.
Because it's too hot?
Too hot, yeah.
Wow. Because you were in Colorado before, right?
That's correct. Yep, that's
right.
Where I cut my teeth in endurance riding.
Right. And how did you get started in endurance?
It's so funny. I was actually taking horseback riding lessons, and I happened to turn on PBS one day, and they had this show about this 100-mile ride. Well, it ended up being the Arabian Horse Association 100-mile championship ride. And I looked at it and I go, I think I can do that. And so I found an endurance barn in Aurora, Colorado, and bought my first horse. And from then on, my first endurance ride was she held a couple endurance rides at her stable a year. Started there and then started going to other rides, and didn't realize that when you went to some other place that you need to bring more than water and clothes.
Yeah.
It was a learning experience. but it was fun. I fell in love with it, did my first 25. My horse got BC, and I was just so ecstatic over it, and just been going at it ever since. Took a break for a while, but came back when I got another really good horse 7 years ago.
Wow. And so how did you get involved with ride management?
It was during the pandemic, and they weren't sure they were going to be able to have the ride in November. So a friend and I got together and said, well, let's put on the ride, see if we can find a weekend open at this park. Well, by then, Arizona was really starting to open up more. Yeah, they had restrictions and stuff, but the November ride, which is a lead, follow, get out of the way ride, they were able to put theirs on. And we were losing a ride in December called Dashing Through the Trails. And so I called up that ride manager. I said, hey, do you mind if we do a ride on your ride dates and use your trails? She goes, oh, yeah, go for it. And I actually found I love being a ride manager.
Oh, good.
Because you're able, you are able to give back to the sport that you enjoy. And you have control over things you never liked in other rides.
Right.
And we had a huge turnout. I was stressed out really stressed out because I had never put on one, but it turned out very, very well. And so we went ahead and got a hold of that other ride manager. No, we have other things. You can have that ride. So that's when it started in 2020.
Okay.
And then we were thinking about adding another ride. And I'm going, well, there used to be a ride up in Flagstaff. So I got a hold of that ride manager. And she, the pandemic decimated her business and stuff because she was a wedding photographer.
Oh.
And she goes, I'm moving. I'm going to, I'm going to do some other stuff. And I said, do you mind if I take over your ride? She goes, no, go for it. And that's how Cinder's Trot was born. And then Marilyn McCoy retired and put out feelers for Old Pueblo, and I took it. It used to be a 3-day ride. 3-day rides just don't make sense anymore. we would only have like 10 or 15 people on the third day. So I cut it back to a 2-day. It's much more manageable. And we're going for it.
Good, good. And you have a website. Tell us what your website is.
It's Trot On Endurance Rides, all one word, .com. And you'll see pictures from other rides. That's how you enter the ride. I try to make it as easy as possible. You know, you can pay right there on the site. You don't have to mail in anything. You sign your release forms on the site. And it just gives you the information for the rides.
Right.
It's very simple.
Do you do the GPS tracks?
Yes, we use Ride with GPS.
Okay.
Lancet Corner started it here in Arizona. And it took a little bit to get used to it, to enter in the stuff. But my biggest fear whenever I was at endurance rides, I was going to get lost.
Right, right. Because it's trail tampering and stuff that happens. Yeah.
And so I was at a ride in Northeast Colorado. We missed a turn marker. There was 2 of us. And there were clouds, so I couldn't even see the mountains. There was no sunlight, so you couldn't see which direction, because I'm directionally challenged that way. And we finally found the trail, but, that's always a big fear. At least I had been to that area and ridden several times. But if you go to an area where you've never ridden, you're always afraid of missing a turn marker or trail or cattle eating your trail ribbon, or whatever the case may be. So it's a Ride with GPS is actually a biking app, and it works really well for horses because you go in and you ride the route. I can actually go in and put a route together by looking at the satellite images. And I go in and I put in turn cues, like continue straight across wash, left turn coming up, right turn ahead. You're almost done. Keep going, and it really helps, because you get those verbal cues. We still mark the trail because there are some people that just they want it there, but they'd rather ride by the ribbons.
Right.
And so it's really convenient. I grabbed the Tevis GPX and put it in my Ride with GPS. So I have their trail in my Ride with GPS, and knock on wood, when I get there this July, I can use it. Not that I don't think I'll get lost, but, it's there for in case.
Right. So you're going to do Tevis this year.
That is my plan. My no-go ride was going to be a duck ride in beginning of June, but that has changed. So it might have to be Virgin Outlaw. And then I'll go, because you never know what's going to happen. I'd rather sign up just before the late fee comes in.
Yeah.
Than sign up early and set, 10th fate.
Well, good. Maybe I'll see you. Because I'm only 60 miles from the start, so I'm real close.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I'm a little further away.
Real close. Yes, you are. Yeah, you are. I wish you were closer, because I would definitely be going to all of your rides, and I'm just thrilled that the Southwest has all these new, fairly new rides to choose from. That's wonderful. Well, thank you, Debi, for joining us this morning, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you so much for having me.
Especially with performance horses, flies can really be a nuisance. Fly predators are a great investment of all the different poisons and insecticides and different things you could use. I don't know of anything that is more economical and more effective than Spalding fly predators.
Our next guest coming up is Melissa Montgomery, and Melissa has been riding endurance for a long time. She's got over 6,600 miles, including 12 one-day 100s and 15 best conditions, and we're going to talk a little bit about what a best condition is. But she just recently won the 20 Mule Team 100 in Ridgecrest and got best condition on her horse Guns N' Roses that she calls Bullet at 12 hours and 56 minutes. The weather was just crazy down there, and so I'm really looking forward to hearing all about this ride and how Melissa got started in endurance. So, Melissa, thank you for joining us and welcome this morning.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, so tell us, let's hear a little bit about this ride that you just did, this 100-mile ride in the desert in Ridgecrest. What was that like?
The weather was nutty as far as the wind, but it wasn't where at any point I went, okay, this is silly. I need to turn around or we need to stop. It was just something that you endured. And, just kept my face mask on. One of the other gals loaned me some sunglasses because I came into first vet check and I'm like, I cannot see anything. And so she gave me her sunglasses, thank goodness. But we actually powwowed the morning of the ride because I had a couple other horses there, including a 13-year-old junior. And we just made sure that everybody felt that it was a good idea to go out in the wind, because I'm not sure the horses slept much because the wind was just howling. Things were flying all over the place. We didn't sleep anything, a wink. And so just, wanted to make sure everyone was okay.
So like the night before, your trailer was rocking in the wind?
Oh, it was rocking and rolling. We were, things were getting hit. Buckets were flying all over the place. Yeah, it was a little insane. And the whole time I'm sitting there going, is this a good idea? Do I really want to take Bullet? And two of the other horses that I brought, this was their first 100. And so it was also, okay, this is their first 100. Is this a good idea to, have them experience this the first time out? But my horses are tough. The people that were riding were tough. And not once did they kind of go, okay, maybe, we have to rethink this. They're just like, let's give it a go.
Good.
And if it's something where we felt that the horses were being unsafe or anything, then we'll just turn around or we'll stop at the vet check. And we decided to ride a little bit slower. And because if you've ever ran in wind, especially against wind, it's terrible. And you, have to work 10 times harder. And so we just kind of adjusted our ride. We stayed together in the beginning. And then, quickly we were like, okay, this is fine. So it wasn't like earth shattering, but it definitely brought another element. And then on the second loop, as I was climbing up one of the foothills, it started raining and sideways wind a little bit. It was cold. And so he was electrolyted. He was eating. He was drinking. He was doing great. I did not bring anything for myself because, of course, as a rider, you're constantly focused on your horse. And so we got on top of the hill and I got off and my legs were cramping so badly. I was just in like Charlie horse, fetal position, trying to rub out my calves. And fortunately, there was the Souzas that were there to help another rider. And they came running out and they're like, how can we help you? I'm like, do you have any salt tabs? And they were like, we have beef jerky and we have potato chips. I'm like, perfect. So they gave my horse alfalfa, which was wonderful. And I'm forever thankful. And they just started loading me up with all this salt food. And it was great because I was able to stay off of them and run all the way down those foothills with Bullet. So, so yeah, it was definitely an element, but manageable.
So tell us about Bullet.
He is a 13 or 14. I can never remember, but he's an all Polish Arab, and I met Bullet a couple years back. I think it was 2019. He was new to an owner. She lived out of the country. She actually was from Dubai. And so he was with a trainer over here and quickly realized that he was far more green and far more ornery that she was comfortable with. And it basically got to a point where nobody was willing to ride him because he was naughty. And when he fell off, you basically felt like you were coming off a 10-story building because you just hit the ground so hard. So, of course, she called me. And my first ride with him was first time I ever sat on him was at Wild West endurance ride. I did a 50 on him. And about 5 miles in, I just swung my leg back over or off and stared at him. And I was like, look, we need to get through this. I need you not to kill me. And we will all get along. And I ran with him for 15 miles because there was no point in staying on him because I was going to get thrown. And I think after that ride, when I got back on him eventually, he was great. He was great. And I think that's where the bond kind of started. And still, he's a spooker. Even 85 miles into Tevis, he will still massively spook.
Mm-hmm.
But I kind of know when it's coming. Not a mean bone in his body. He is the sweetest, kindest horse. He is just extremely reactive. And but a very, very sweet soul. And he just loves getting out on that trail and eating it. He is very highly competitive and just loves getting out there. He does not waste any energy in vet checks. He thinks vet checks are silly. And I had one vet go, "Oh, I think he looks tired." I looked at her. I was like, no.
No, trust me. I've had those too. I know what it's like. It's like, no.
Yes.
They just don't see the point.
Nope, they don't see the point. And he just gives little effort into the vet check. And when he trots, he does not showboat. He doesn't put any excess energy. He leaves it out on the trail. And with 20 Mule, I actually do not have any, I don't go into a ride going, oh, I'm going to win. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I go into it going, let's see how the day goes. And let's see what this horse wants to do.
Right. And he's a very tough athletic horse because he also won the Virginia City 100 and got best condition there, right? Yeah.
Yes.
So
he's a machine.
Let's just talk for a minute about best condition because Jennifer and I were talking before the show a little bit about it and what best condition means. It's awarded to a horse that finishes in the top 10 that the vets determine they score them on several different categories based on their trot outs and their final vet exam and the best condition exam. And based on the score, the horse with the highest score gets awarded the best condition award. So what, in your opinion, what are some of the things that you think helps Bullet when he has been awarded best condition that contribute to his getting that high score at the end of the ride?
I think nutrition has a lot to play into it. And the feed that he gets and also riding accordingly. Ride to your horse's best ability. Don't override. And I keep a pace that I know my horse can keep all day long. I don't, blow out 14, 15 miles an hour and then walk for at 7. And then I keep a pace with him and I get off of him, going up the big hills, unless he's going incredibly faster than me. I get off of him and run with him going down the hills. That really, really saves your horse, in my opinion. And then, yes, of course, conditioning, conditioning them, at home also helps.
So on 100, let's just take 20 Mule Team for an example. How much of the time did you spend on foot?
Not a whole lot, to be honest, at 20 Mule. Because I got off on the downhills, but it was a lot of flat. and he goes much faster than me, and I would frustrate him if I was trying to run with him on the flat.
So like for Virginia City or Tevis, you would spend more time on foot?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, like about
how much?
How much, yeah.
I have no idea.
Miles.
It's one of those things. If my horse is walking, I'm going to walk next to it, or I'm going to tail. And and so Tevis, I usually get off on all the canyons. I don't get off of them before Robinson, just because I'll slow him down and I'll frustrate him. But I tend to get off going, down El Dorado, going up Double Thumb. So but it also, kind of depends on the horse. I think with Bullet, because he's so strong, I tend to get off of him a little less than I do another horse. But like Virginia City, I got off of him a lot just because there were so many climbs. So all the SOBs, there's an orange loop that it's just hill after hill after hill and technical, and we're walking. And by then he's kind of tired anyway, so I'll go ahead and get off of him. Yeah, so I percentage-wise, it kind of differs, to be honest. It's one where if I feel my horse if he's tired enough and going slow enough at a walk that I can keep up with him and I don't frustrate him, then I get off. But 20 Mule, I kind of stayed on, I would say 90% of that ride.
Okay. And so you're also a runner, aren't you?
Yeah. Yep.
And you do ride and ties?
Yep.
Yeah.
I started with, did I start with ultra running? No, I started with ride and ties. I'm a previous life show jumper, and somebody came to my my place to look at a horse for sale, and it was a Rocky Mountain, and it was just a neighbor. And I was like, sure, I can sell your Rocky Mountain, no problem. Didn't know anything about Rocky Mountains. And anyway, someone came out to see this horse and was telling me that they were looking at it for a ride and tie. And I'm like, well, what the heck is a ride and tie? And so when they were explaining it to me, I was like, how have I never learned of this sport? Running and riding on a trail. That sounds amazing. So I started doing ride and ties, and then a gal that I was giving jumping lessons to, came with me to a ride and tie to crew, started talking to an endurance person, decided that she wanted to try endurance. And I was like, okay, I know nothing about endurance, but let's go find a pony. And found this great horse out in Montana. She started doing LDs. She was having so much fun that I was like, well, I want to do it too. So that's how I got an endurance horse. But before that, sorry, backing track, I'm losing.
That's okay.
So ride and tie. And then a friend of mine introduced me to ultra runs. I had been a runner, but just rode doing like 5Ks and 10Ks. And then she introduced me to the ultras. So started doing kind of ultra running, 100 milers. I've done the Moab 240. In a couple of months, I'm doing the Tahoe 200. And then I'm going back down to Moab in October to do another 240-mile race. Sorry, that was like a lot of whirly-woos, but hopefully I answered your question.
That's pretty cool. And I did see a photo on your Facebook page of you riding in Africa.
Yes, I did. It was a 255-mile race in South Africa. That's amazing. I recommend it to anybody who wants an adventure. So it's called Race the Wild Coast, and you're racing along the South African coast. It's a little crazy. We got 3 horses. It was very exciting. I did break my wrist and my nose 5 miles in.
Wow.
I fell off my pony. And, don't recommend that one.
And so what did you do? You broke your wrist and your nose, and did you just keep going, or?
I did. I was like, I didn't come all this way to stop because the other competitors.
Never mind the broken bones.
Yeah, they were like, oh, everyone's still probably at camp to go back. And I'm like, I'm not going back. And so
you're such an endurance rider.
Right. Because I think, wasn't it like Christine Hartman rode Tevis with a broken arm? I think Melissa Ripley had a vet stitch her face up at Tevis one year.
Right.
But I mean, it was, I got to a vet check, which was some time, but I had 3 girls that helped me out. They really helped me get on and off my horse, because that actually we found out is when he spooked. And once I got to the vet check, the vets splinted my arm. And as soon as they gave me that South African drugs and they splinted up my arm, I was good to go.
Oh,
all right. Yeah, there was lots of them, but the only question I asked, I said, does it make me drowsy? And as long as the answer was no, I said, okay, thank you very much.
Wow.
But it was an amazing, amazing adventure. And we got to go through African villages and just these remote areas that nobody, even tourists, don't get to see. And so it was wonderful, and I highly recommend it.
Wow. Okay, so one more question for you. What's your favorite 100?
Favorite 100? Bighorn and Tevis, probably, for 2 different reasons. But
okay.
I don't know.
What are the 2 reasons?
Tevis, I love that it's local for us, and the excitement of it, and the camaraderie, and the volunteers, and just kind of the getting ready for it. And it's beautiful, absolutely gorgeous out there. You can't beat it. And then Wyoming, the Bighorn, I think that it really, when the ride manager said, if you mess up, if you override, if you make poor decisions for your horse, you are on your own. There's nobody coming to save you. And she was right. I rode, because that year I rode my horse Mouse, and he's also an incredible athlete. But I was kind of riding by myself from about mile 21 to the finish. And it was just beautiful. And I was alone, except for vet checks. It was just me and my horse. And I felt that it's beautiful country, but I also feel that it really tests your horsemanship skills, because there's not 10,000 water barrels out there. There's not hay out there for
600 volunteers, or 800 volunteers like Tevis has.
Yes.
Yeah.
You don't have a vet check every 10 miles or every 6 miles, or, Tevis is definitely, I think, people might kill me. It holds your hand just a little bit more, or a lot more.
Sure. Where
Bighorn, it's you and your horse. And yes, there's vet checks in between, but they're spaced far apart. And when you're out there, you are out there. And so there's decisions that I had to make for my horse, where Tevis, I wouldn't necessarily stop for a half an hour to let my horse eat, because I know I have a vet check 8 miles away that I can let him eat as much hay and feed as he wants. Where Bighorn, there was a loop. I literally stopped for a half an hour, sat on my butt, and let my horse eat for a half an hour, because that's what he needed. And I don't know, it just kind of gives you a different element of just a different element. And it was just different. And so I would say Bighorn and Tevis are probably my favorite.
Okay. Are you planning on Tevis this year?
Yes.
Oh, good.
Yes.
Well, good luck.
Tevis. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, I just want to thank you again for joining us today. And it's been fun talking to you. And I'll look forward to seeing you at a ride, or maybe a ride and tie coming up.
Yeah, there you go. The championships. Everybody needs to go to the championships in Cool this year. It'll be a lot of fun.
And what are the dates of that?
That one is July 6th and 7th.
Okay, good.
Yeah. And I know that they're going to have it's going to be like a 3-day deal where they're going to have they're going to have the Ride and Tie Championships and the Equithon Championships, but I believe that they're also trying to throw in an ultra run and then more of kind of like a family-friendly event on Friday. So there's something for everybody. And so it'll be a lot of fun. So I say, if you're not doing anything that weekend, come on down. It'll be good. I'll set you up with a horse.
It's in Cool, California, right?
Yep, it's in Cool, California. And so there'll be some parts that they'll use the same trail that the Western States Running Race uses, but all very friendly trails. There's nothing too technical. It'll be a lot of fun. And again, lots of events. If people don't have partners, they can contact us and we can hook them up with either running partners or horse partners. I just say, come on down.
Okay. Melissa's made from much sterner stuff than I am.
What, you don't want to ride with broken bones?
Good. I have in the past, but I don't want to do it anymore. I've done that.
I've been there, done that too.
Just don't need to do it anymore. And we talked about a lot of different rides in today's show. So if you would like to learn more about any of them, where can folks get more information about endurance rides?
Go to aerc.org, and there are rides all over the country. You can go and look up the ride calendar, look up your region, your state, and filter it several different ways and pull up all those rides. Go volunteer if you're just learning. That's a great way to learn about the sport and to meet people and to get involved. Many of the rides nowadays offer intro rides, like the one I'm going to this weekend in the West region. They have an intro ride, and it's a great way to learn the sport, learn how to follow a marked trail, learn how to vet check, camp, all that kind of stuff.
There we go. And there are so many skills beyond riding required to enjoy, much less achieve a win in this sport. So definitely volunteering is a great way to do it. And besides, it's a lot of fun. There's always good food and good camaraderie.
That's right. And to finish is to win.
There we go. And thanks to our sponsor, the Distance Depot, we couldn't do these shows without our sponsors. And if you have a product or a service that the equestrian community, and particularly maybe the endurance community, needs to know about, you can contact Horse Radio Network today and find out about advertising opportunities on this and other podcasts. All you do is go to horseradionetwork.com and click on the contact button. And we'll see you again next month, Karen.